Help me reach 1,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like, and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comments. Thanks. I didn't expect a confession come over dinner. Not at a restaurant. Not with candles flickering between us like some bad joke. Elizabeth sat across from me, twirling her fork, barely touching the food she insisted we order. She'd been quiet all evening. The kind of quiet that presses on you, makes you feel like you're intruding just by breathing. I thought maybe it was work stress or family stuff. There was always something lately. We'd been married 11 years, long enough to read each other without words, or at least that's what I believed. I knew when she was tired, when she was irritated, when she wanted space. But this was different. This was rehearsed silence. Halfway through the meal, she set her fork down and took a slow breath. Not nervous, measured, like someone bracing before stepping into cold water. "James," she said, not looking at me, "I need to tell you something." I nodded. No rush, no pressure. I'd learned patience over the years. "Okay." She finally met my eyes. Hers didn't flinch. That should have warned me. I'd been seeing someone else. There it was. Clean. Efficient. No soft landing. For a second, the noise of the restaurant faded. Plates clinking, quiet conversations, background music, all of it dulled. I noticed the way my hands rested on the table. Steady. I noticed my breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Calm. Almost too calm. I didn't interrupt her. I didn't ask how long. I didn't ask why. I let the silence stretch. Not to punish her, but because I needed to understand what I was feeling before I spoke. Shock, yes. Hurt, definitely. But underneath it all was something unexpected. Relief, like a puzzle piece finally clicking into place. She filled the silence herself. I didn't plan it. It just happened. We connected. I didn't mean to hurt you. That line. I almost smiled. Almost. Instead, I leaned back slightly and looked at her the same way I'd looked at blueprints my whole career, assessing structure, stress points, what was already failing long before collapse. "How long?" I asked. She hesitated. "A few months." I nodded once, not in approval, in acknowledgement. "And you're telling me now because?" Her lips parted, then closed again. She chose her words carefully. "Because I don't want to lie anymore. And because I think we've been unhappy for a long time." There it was. The rewrite. The retroactive justification. I'd seen it coming even before she said it. I folded my napkin, placed it neatly beside my plate, and met her gaze. "You're right," I said calmly. "We have." Her shoulders relaxed, just a little. She thought this was going somewhere else. Toward understanding. Toward shared blame. If this part of the story feels familiar to you, take a second to press like, so it reaches people who've lived this moment too. I continued, but here's the difference. I stayed honest while I was unhappy. Her expression shifted. Confusion, then irritation. "James, I'm not saying the bad guy." "I know," I said, gently cutting her off. "You don't have to. Your actions already did that math." She opened her mouth to respond, then stopped. I could tell she wasn't used to this version of me. The one who wasn't scrambling to fix things. The one who wasn't negotiating his own worth. I picked up my glass, took a sip, and set it down. Still calm. Still steady. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to beg. And I'm not going to compete with another man for my own wife. Her eyes narrowed. "So what does that mean?" "It means," I said, "you made a choice, and now I get to make mine." For the first time that night, her composure cracked. "James, don't be dramatic." I almost laughed at that. Instead, I shook my head. This is the least dramatic I've ever been. If you've ever heard a sentence that changed everything in one moment, share this story with someone who'll understand why silence can be louder than anger. She leaned forward. "So what? You're just giving up?" "No," I replied. "I'm letting go." The check arrived moments later. Perfect timing. I reached for it before she could, not out of habit, out of closure. As we stood to leave, she touched my arm, Lightly, tentatively. James, we should talk more about this. I looked at her hand, then back at her face. We just did. Her hand dropped. Outside, the night air felt cooler than it should have. I paused on the sidewalk, keys in my hand, and realized something important. This wasn't the end of my marriage. That had happened months ago. This was just a moment I finally caught up to the truth. Comment below the word clarity if you believe honesty ends things faster than betrayal does. She watched me like she was waiting for something else. Anger, tears, a crack in my voice. I gave her none of it. Instead, I said the one thing she wasn't prepared for. And that's where everything truly changed. The thing I said wasn't clever. It wasn't rehearsed. It didn't come from anger. It came from acceptance. I won't stop you, I told Elizabeth, but I won't stay married to you either. Her breath caught, not dramatically, just enough to show she hadn't expected that. People expect tears, rage, bargaining. Calm decisions confuse them. You're serious, she said. I've never been more serious. We stood there, the city humming around us, cars passing, strangers laughing somewhere down the block, life continuing, indifferent to the moment my marriage officially ended. So what now? She asked. Now. I replied, we stop pretending this can be fixed without honesty, and we stop pretending love survives betrayal. She crossed her arms, defensive. You're acting like I planned this. I don't care if you planned it. I said evenly. You chose it. That landed harder than I expected. Her jaw tightened. I told you because I respected you enough not to lie. No, I corrected. You told me because the truth was getting uncomfortable. Silence again, the kind that doesn't need words. We walked to our cars parked on opposite sides of the street. 11 years ago, we'd walked hand in hand everywhere. Now there was distance without effort. I never meant to lose you, she said quietly. I looked at her for a long moment. You lost me when you decided I was optional. She flinched, not because it was cruel, because it was accurate. At home, I didn't pack everything, just essentials. Clothes, documents, my laptop. The house felt strange, like a place I used to live in. I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter, not as a statement, as a conclusion. I slept better that night than I had in months. The next morning, messages started coming in. Elizabeth wanted to talk, to explain, to slow things down. I replied once, we'll handle this respectfully and legally. Nothing more. Over the following weeks, reality replaced emotion. Lawyers, logistics, conversation stripped of sentiment. She tried once to reminisce, to remind me of vacations, holidays, the good years. I remember them. I told her. That's why I won't poison them by staying longer than I should. She cried then, not theatrically, genuinely. And for the first time, I felt compassion without obligation. If you were in my position, comment below and share what you think hurts more in the long run. Betrayal or staying after respect is gone. I read every perspective. Friends asked if I was okay. I told them the truth. I'm not broken. I'm finished. That distinction mattered. Elizabeth moved in with him. It didn't last. I heard that through mutual friends. It didn't give me satisfaction, just confirmation. Months later, she asked to meet for coffee. Closure, she said. I agreed. She looked different. Not worse. Just unsettled. Like someone still waiting for something that already passed. I didn't think you'd walk away so easily, she admitted. I didn't walk away easily, I said. I walked away correctly. She nodded, tears forming. Do you hate me? I considered it honestly. No, I just don't choose you anymore. That was a final truth. We stood. She reached for a hug. I stepped back politely. Boundaries aren't punishment. They're protection. Outside, I felt lighter again. Not happy, but aligned. If this story made you reflect on your own boundaries, type the word respect in the comments. Let's see how many people still believe it matters. Here's what no one tells you. Walking away doesn't mean you didn't love deeply. It means you finally loved yourself enough to stop begging for a place you already lost. I didn't win. She didn't lose. But I reclaimed something far more valuable than a marriage that survived in name only: peace. And peace, once chosen, doesn't argue. If this story resonated with you, like the video, subscribe for more real stories about self-respect, and comment with one lesson you're taking from James' decision. Your insight might help someone else choose clarity over chaos.